Welcome to Stories from the Center of the Universe, the podcast about the human experience.
Carrie Allen, welcome to the Center of the Universe.
Thank you, Paul. I'm delighted to be here.
Should you describe how you and I met and connected to do this podcast?
Absolutely. My husband, Krister Allen, went to UVA with you and connected us.
UVA, arguably the best school in the universe, maybe.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I think it sounds right. So, Krister, you and I hadn't seen each other. I mean, we maybe saw each other a couple times right after college, but then reconnected. Maybe
30,
not even.
35 years later, I'd say.
And now we don't live too far apart. And we see each other and we drink beer and bourbon, that sort of thing. But we're not here to talk about you, Krister. We're here to talk about your wife. And you are going to function as a co-host today. And you were informed about 7 minutes ago that Carrie and I would be delighted to have you join us.
Happy to do it.
Awesome. All right, Carrie, I have no idea where you grew up. Where did you grow up?
Well, I was born in Louisville, Kentucky, and lived there till I was about 10, and then moved to Richmond, Virginia. So I call Virginia my home. It's where I really lived for the rest of growing up.
What I ask everybody from Richmond is, where did they go to high school? Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Marymount High School, which is no longer
No, it's
there.
not.
No.
What happened to it?
Allegedly, they had not saved enough money to help with capital improvements or saved a retirement fund for the nuns. And so the building itself was filled with asbestos and sort of, I think with lower enrollment numbers and problems with the building and the nuns getting older, they retired Marymount High School in Richmond.
And they weren't replacing the older nuns with younger nuns?
As far as I recall, no, but they did. The nuns went to other schools, and then the older ones went to Tarrytown, where they do have a place for retirement.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So, are you Catholic?
I am not.
But you went to a Catholic high school.
Funny enough, I also went to a Catholic middle school. So when we moved to Richmond, we lived in the Fan, and the best school that was close by was St. Benedict's School, which was a Catholic school. My father wanted my sister and I to be able to walk to school.
Yeah.
So we did. And then the trajectory from there was to go either to St. Gertrude's or Marymount from the Catholic school. And so we just followed our friends. I followed my sister. She's 11 months older, so she picked Marymount.
Okay.
That's why I went there.
So you had a choice between the two.
Yeah.
I think most people go St. Gertrude's, right? Or is that a recency thing for me, just because St. Gertrude's is still around?
I really don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly now that would be it because there's no Marymount.
How many girls were in your class?
I remember our senior year, we had 54 students total.
All right, so Louisville, is that where one of your parents is from?
No, we my mother and father ended up in Louisville. I think my father got a job there. And so my sister had been born in North Carolina, and then he went there, and I was born in Louisville. And then I had a brother who has since passed away, and grew up in Louisville. And then once we moved to Richmond, my mother moved back to Kentucky. So it's like my father raised me and my sister, and my mother had my brother in Kentucky. So
there's a lot going on.
A lot of trauma, but it just makes you stronger and more resilient, in my opinion. So
should we explore that a little bit more, or not so much?
I mean, only if you feel like it could be helpful for other people.
Only if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably don't need to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So your dad's job moved you guys around
Yeah.
a fair amount.
Moved us to Louisville and then back to Virginia.
And
it wasn't like a military job or anything.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure how he.
So it wasn't like he
picked
was
it.
moving around every 3 or 4 years.
No.
Okay, but when your parents broke up, Dad came back to Richmond?
We all moved to Richmond,
Oh, okay.
and then my mother left and took my brother back to Kentucky.
Gotcha.
So
And
yeah.
you're the middle child?
I'm the middle child. Yeah.
And your brother was the youngest?
He was the youngest, but then when my father remarried, I do have a half brother, Gibson.
Okay.
So
All right.
yeah.
There's a lot going on.
A lot going on.
I need like a piece of paper to keep all this straight, I think.
Yeah.
Should have brought my notebook.
Right.
Do you have memories of Louisville?
I do.
Am I saying Louisville correctly?
Louisville. When you're from there, you say Louisville. But a
Louisville.
lot of people pronounce it Louisville. But either one
I'm
works.
definitely not from there.
Either one works.
All right. So
I can actually remember, like, of course, when you have memories, you remember either things that fill you with emotion, so either happy or sad. And I can remember two things. A blizzard that came through in the 70s that caused so much snow that we couldn't even get out. That was very memorable and more fun. And then when tornadoes went through, and then after being in the basement with a mattress and being scared, and then coming out after and all the trees gone and everything. So
That's super scary.
yeah. So
When I think of tornadoes, I don't think of that part of the country, but I guess it's before the mountains, so they don't break up before that.
yeah. And in I went to Bloom Elementary and then Collegiate, a private school, and we had regular drills of tornado drills. Get under your desk, put your head down, or go out in the hall and put your head to the wall.
Okay.
Yeah, crazy.
When you were like 9 or 10 years old, what were you doing in your free time when mom and dad weren't telling you what to do when you weren't in school?
Those days in the 70s, so when I was 9, that was 79, we were largely unsupervised all day, right? And so we'd get up in the morning, and
It was the best.
It was the best. And so my sister and I would head out on our bikes and be in the neighborhood, and we might end up having lunch at a neighbor's house, and we could hear our parents call us at dinner time. We'd be gone all day. It would not happen today, right? And we'd
Oh
be
my
on
gosh.
bikes. We'd hurt ourselves.
It's our generation's fault that we became the helicopter parents.
Exactly, because we knew.
I guess we do.
I
Most
guess.
of that was good.
It was good. It was great. Yeah.
I mean, there was maybe some things we shouldn't have
right.
done, but yeah.
Right. And then I swam a lot. I was on the swim team.
Swimming for me, I'm just going to give you a little editorial. Swimming for me is not natural because humans can't breathe underwater. And then the repetition, I mean, that combination of not being able to breathe underwater and the repetition, why would anybody want to do that?
Right.
But you loved it, sounds
I
like.
loved it. I was on the swim team. And actually, one of my first swim coaches was Marity Mahar, who had won the Olympics in butterfly. So I became really strong at butterfly and
That's
won
pretty cool.
the state championships, and then went to St. Louis to represent the state on a little bus of our swim team. So
Wow. How old were you?
8, 9.
Wow.
Yeah.
State champ, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Most people can't say they were state champ of anything.
It was my team, so our
Still.
team won, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was the butterfly. Yeah,
You were number 1 for butterfly. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Describe the butterfly.
it's when you take your arms together and you
Okay.
go over, and
it's
then
like
your
your
feet
wings.
are together, and your feet stay together, and they kick together.
Bird
So-
and a dolphin combo kind of thing.
yeah, that's a good way
Does that sound
to
right?
describe it. Sure, yeah.
It doesn't seem supernatural. I guess the dolphin part does, maybe. To swim.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a tough stroke for sure.
it looks tough.
Yeah.
Would somebody normally swim like that? If they were just trying to move from point A to point B in the water?
If it were us today, definitely not. It's not. It's harder.
It's probably the least efficient stroke.
Right.
I couldn't do it.
I wouldn't even attempt it.
My sister was good at it. Both of them were. I could not do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't try.
Like 4, and then I'm like drowning.
Did you swim in Richmond when you came to Richmond?
No.
Oh, so you.
I think that's why it stopped. We didn't belong to a club that had a pool, or
Gotcha.
we lived in the fan downtown.
All right, so as a teenager, what were you up to? You weren't swimming anymore.
I oddly in high school joined the choir. Now, anyone who knows me today would think that's funny because I don't have a singing voice. But I was able to sort of mask. I have what's called a musical ear, which doesn't mean I'm musical, but I can start talking like someone's accent. If I'm talking to them, my voice starts to just naturally pick that lilt up.
And that person likes that, actually.
So
they really like that.
Oh, wow.
No, they do.
Yes, I think probably from a subconscious, that works. But being in a small choir, and we'd go around and perform and so forth, I could just stand next to someone, she's the alto, and I would just be able to match her sound. I didn't necessarily know the notes or where to go, but I could sing what she was singing. So I faked it.
So solo, not really going to be a thing.
I wasn't
for
doing
you.
any solo work.
Do you do that in conversation as well? If you meet somebody from Louisiana, do you?
Without knowing it, I do. I can remember over the years, someone saying, "Why are you doing that?" I'm like, "Doing what?" And I was talking to someone from another country and realized I was starting to match their cadence and their sound, which they might like it, or they might think I'm making fun of them. I don't think I do that as much anymore.
So it's not completely subconscious and natural.
I actually have no idea. I wasn't doing it consciously. It was subconscious, but
But
I
it's
haven't
faded.
noticed that. But you did a lot of field hockey too.
Oh, right.
High school.
I did field hockey. Yes.
That's why you're here, Chris.
Yeah, I forgot. I did field hockey. I'm like, I didn't do much in high school. Yeah, I did. I was in the choir. I did field hockey. I did softball. My father was the coach, so he made me the catcher. So I blame my messed up knees on
Yeah,
catching.
it's brutal. Catching
Yeah,
is
yeah.
absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
Did you like field hockey?
Loved it. And I played it my first year in college as well until someone from Sweetbriar messed up my knee. I went to Randolph-Macon Women's College.
I'm wearing the
I
other
see
Randolph-Macon
you are.
today. Yeah. My daughter goes there. So
Nice.
I'm wearing it, yeah.
Nice.
Is Randolph-Macon Women's College still all female?
It is not. It went co-ed, and it's now called Randolph College. Yeah.
Not to be confused with the other Randolph-Macon.
Exactly. Yeah.
And maybe they liked Randolph better than they liked Macon. Who knows?
They probably went through a process. I don't know.
Where is Randolph College?
In Lynchburg, Virginia.
Okay. There are a lot of schools in Lynchburg, aren't there?
There are.
Liberty, Lynchburg. Maybe that's
And
it.
Randolph
Lynchburg
College.
Yeah, those three. Maybe they're not that many.
Yeah, and then Sweetbriar is just outside of it,
Oh, right.
20 miles.
Is that still in business?
I actually don't know.
I think so.
Yeah.
I thought they were folding.
So field hockey, but not lacrosse.
Not lacrosse.
And that was an option, though.
It was. My sister played lacrosse.
They're fairly similar games.
So with lacrosse, you have to catch a ball,
Right.
and you throw it. With hockey, you've got to stick on the ground, and you're hitting it.
But the movement up and down the field is very
Sure.
similar, and both sports have goalies.
Fair enough.
I mean, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Like hockey.
Right.
Yeah, one's higher in the air. the other
Exactly.
one's on the ground.
Yeah.
But my sister played both, and
Oh, nice.
most, well, I say most. My sister played both. I assumed every woman who played one or the other would play both, but not in this case. And your sister didn't play field hockey, I'm guessing.
She did. She played field hockey.
So now I'm 2 for 3.
Right.
Yeah.
And you wore
Exactly.
kilts in both of those,
Yeah,
correct?
Kilts. Yep.
What's up with the kilts and both of
I actually
those?
don't know why we wear kilts for
I
field
don't think
hockey.
they do that anymore.
Do they not? Yeah.
No.
Do all school? I mean, even back then, did
Back
all schools
then-
wear them?
All field hockey players wore kilts.
Was it a private school thing?
Because in
Ours,
college, we still did, too.
Charlottesville High School wore them.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, there it is.
Yeah.
All right, were you? How would you describe yourself in high school? Were you more academically inclined? Were you more athletic?
I think I was more athletically inclined. However, grades came easy to me, so I didn't work that hard, and I still did well.
Did you hang out with the kids that were doing extremely well in school, or were you hanging out with the field hockey players, or a mix of all that?
So it was mixed because it was a very small
you kind of had
private
to.
school. So there was a group of like 7 of us that hung out together, and then of course we're friends with others in the class. It was still very small. So
Yeah, I guess you kind of float amongst everybody when the school's
Right.
that small.
yeah.
And last question on Marymount. You're kind of blowing my mind because I don't think I know anybody else that went to Marymount, and I'm from that area. Was it K through 12 or is it just 9 through 12?
No, it was just 9 through 12.
Okay, got it. All right. So why did you go to the college you went to?
My grandmother went there. So my whole life, first of all, when we moved to Virginia, my grandmother and grandfather lived in Weems, Virginia, close
Okay.
to where we are now,
Yeah.
in Whitestone, Virginia. And she was such a guiding force for me. With my mother being in a different state, and my father would send my sister and I down to spend time, like 3 weeks at a time, with our grandparents. And so she was just an amazing woman, and I looked up to her, but she always talked about going to Randolph-Macon Women's College as well. And so it just naturally felt like, okay, well, that's where I'm going to go to.
When people think of you going to college, what should they think? Like, I'm just going to be awesome at whatever discipline? Or were you there to learn anything in particular? Or
So
you kind
what's
of go,
funny
like I did?
is I went thinking, all right, I'm going to go get a business degree because I had in my mind that once I finish, I'm going to go work for a corporation and run a corporation one day. But because it was a liberal arts college, I was required to take Foundations of Art 101, my freshman year, and it just blew my mind. So while they didn't have, a business degree per se at Randolph-Macon Women's College, they had an economics degree. So I took an economics course and just loved Dr. Carl Stern, who was the head of the economics department, and freshman year became his teaching assistant, was grading people's
That's quick.
papers. I know. And then I fell in love with art, and Dr. Robert Fuller was the head of the art department, and he's like, you really need to get an art major as well because you're very talented. I did my first painting, and so I just said, all right, I'll do both. And so what that helped me do was develop enough skills so that throughout the trajectory of my career up until now, I have completely transformed myself at least 4 times, gone into vastly different directions, from the arts to education to innovation. So I think a grounding of teaching you how to problem solve, how to do different things, and not be so focused on rote learning. It helps you, I think, in the long run.
So it pulls out your creative side and maybe
Yeah.
your more compartmentalized, rational, logical side.
Yeah.
So I'm fascinated by your comment that you went into college with this notion that you would work in a corporation and eventually run that corporation.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I mean, were you thinking like a top 100 kind of corporation?
I was thinking like one of the Fortune 500 companies. That's just what I had my eyes on.
Where did that come from?
I have no idea.
I don't.
Right?
Kids the age 17, 18, most of them are not thinking that way.
No.
But that's just how your brain works.
It's just how I worked. And so, freshman year, more than in high school, I started to just get involved as well. So at like the very first weekend when they had the president of student government speak to the incoming class of freshmen, I'm like, oh, she's really cool. When I'm a senior, I'll be president of the student government as well. And so I did. So like my freshman year, I was president of the freshman class, and then I went into the judiciary. I was on the judiciary committee my sophomore year. My junior year, I was vice president of student government, and then I became president of student government. So I kind of create a goal for myself, and then I just figure out how to get there and do that. So I can just be like, check, did that.
So check meaning you like list and checking things off your list, or
Yes.
you're very inspired to go reach a level and
I think it's more that. I love to build things and to achieve things. And then it's not like, once I get there, I don't rest on my laurels. I'm like, okay, now what's next? What are we going to do?
So it sounds like you're like, hey, I want to aspire to this huge goal, and then I'm going to incrementally work my way there. And so my next goal is whatever it is, and you do whatever you can to get there.
I think when you look back, I can say that's how it worked, but I don't think I was so like, let me figure out the next step to do that. It just happens once I've got my vision on something, and then I start to work towards that.
Sorry, go ahead. Finish your
No,
thought.
go ahead.
How does that work into your relationship with Krister? Does it have any impact at all?
Absolutely. We launched in 2018 our company August Table together. And so it's like I've got this big vision for this, and he is not only my best friend and soulmate and husband, but he's my business partner. And so I keep coming up with new visions and new ideas of where we're going to go, and he helps make them happen. So
Does he do it out of unconditional love, or does he do it because you're motivating him, or a
let's
combination?
ask him. Why are you doing it, hon?
Oh, I'm supporting you.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of my aspirations.
Happy wife, happy life, baby.
Yes, happy to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're fairly involved. Both of you are fairly involved in August Table. We'll come back to August
Yeah.
Table in a bit. All right, so you double major
Yeah.
in art and economics.
And a French minor.
Why not? why French?
Because I actually, and I'll say her name, Madame Sif, was the French teacher in high school. And I thought she was just amazing and wonderful. And I'm still in touch with her today.
Wow.
And as a freshman, I think as a freshman, yes, I started to take French. And she was someone that I looked up to, and ultimately took us a small subset of French students. There were 7 of us on a trip, a European trip where we went to France and 4 other countries, and she just made such an impact on my life that I was like, of course, naturally, I'll be speaking French too. So I took it all through high school and all through college, and I could have had a 3rd major, but I didn't. I couldn't senior year have 2 majors and do those projects and do another 3rd one and be president of student government. So
It sounds like too much.
too much, yeah.
Yeah, I majored in one thing because that was plenty for me.
Yeah.
Was French going to be applicable for you because you thought you might get into art and maybe live in Paris for
I
a
just,
time?
well, so when I was graduating, I said to my father, he knew, and I'm forgetting who it was now, but somebody who ran a corporation in France. Or maybe it was actually an American corporation, but they had business in France. And so my dad reached out to them and said she'd like to go to France and work there. But have you ever read the John Irving book, A Prayer for Owen Meany?
I have not.
So it's a really great book where it's a thick tome of a book, and you're reading, and these things happen, and you're not sure what's going on, and you're reading the story, and then at the very end, all these pieces of throughout this whole trajectory of life came together to serve one culminating aspect in the book. And I feel like several times things came together. And so right out of college, I went and got my Series 7, was in the financial industry, did bonds, and then I thought, well, this isn't really creative enough for me. So I went into the museum field, and I was painting on the side. And at I don't remember exactly the year, maybe it was in 2004, I started working at the Institute of Contemporary Art in Boston, helped them build this magnificent building, and I thought my next step would be to be the director of an art museum. However, a Harvard professor reached out to me and said, would you co-found this innovation education program with me, where it was bringing art and science together?
Hold on. Why would a Harvard professor reach out to you?
Because he had a foundation a few years before where they had a headhunter had reached out to me to run his educational arts program, and
Gotcha.
so he'd known about me.
Okay.
At that time, I think there were 7 candidates. They narrowed it down to 2, and they chose an older, more seasoned, experienced person to run the foundation that was really around arts education. And so when he reached out to me, he said, "Oh, and I have a cultural center lab in Paris." And so I oversaw and worked with the team in Paris, so I would have to use my French, and was building this education program with him that I grew to 23 sites around the world. So it was like my economics and brain was pulled in from that with my creativity and the arts management, and then I was able to use my French. So that's why I say it was kind of like that, a prayer for Owen meaning moment where everything kind of came together.
Yeah, for that, it sounds like you've had a few culminating events.
Yes, it keeps happening. Yeah,
Which is great.
it was great.
Did you plan each culminating event? I mean, I guess you can't. They kind of naturally occur, I guess.
Right.
All right, let me back up. And I think I know this about you because you guys maybe shared this with me a few months ago. You knew Krister when you were much younger.
We met when I was 15 at first, and we dated in high school. I became a lifeguard because I thought he was so cute, and he was a lifeguard at Wintergreen.
It's not the word you used with me when you described it off the recording, but it's
okay. So yes, so we had dated in high school.
Yeah, for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in college a little
And
bit.
in college, Krister went to college.
There's a chance you met.
Yeah.
First
maybe.
year.
Yeah.
Right on.
But he was at UVA and I was still in high school. And this was pre-email, pre-texting, and it wasn't easy to get in touch with each other. And so the whole reason we broke up was confusion. Apparently he was calling, but my dad and stepmom never gave me those messages. So I thought we'd broken up.
You thought he just kind of walked away.
Yeah.
But you had dated a while. He wouldn't have just walked away, I wouldn't think.
Well, I thought that's what.
That's awful.
I know.
It's like what you think's happening, what they
We
think's
had
happening,
two vastly, and
what really happened.
I'll say it. Then the next time we actually saw each other, I started to date someone else who I then married, my first husband, and then when we divorced, Krister had been divorced, and we are back together like we were supposed to be all along.
Well, let's talk about that. How'd you reconnect?
I was listening to some music with a friend, and a song came on that we used to listen to in high school, and
who was that?
it was Jefferson Airplane. And I started yelling, "Krister Allen! Oh my gosh, I wonder what he's up to." So I Googled him and sent him a LinkedIn message.
Wow.
And he was in Idaho, and I was in Boston, and we'd been there for decades across the country from each other. So
Were you trying to connect just because he's a cool person from your past, or did you have romantic intent?
To be honest, I was probably 3 bourbons in and heard the song and Googled him and connected with him.
So confusion and a misinterpretation broke you up, and bourbon got you back together. You had a song.
Right, exactly.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool story.
Pretty cool story.
And you guys have been together for a while.
Well, and so then we've been married. It'll be 7 years pretty
Yeah.
soon. But we lived on opposite sides of the country, and we started to talk, and we're both a little bit like Luddites. So when we finally realized months and months after we'd been talking that we could actually do FaceTime and see each other, it was like, whoa, there you are. And we spent 8 hours that day just, talking and looking at each other. And so then I flew out to Idaho, and we went sailing for a week. And I think by the end of the week, we were like, yeah, we're going to get married. So
Wow.
And we eloped 2 months later.
No. Hold on. So before you flew out there, how long had it been since you reconnected?
Just a few months.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a few months. We
So it was
sped this up.
It was a FaceTime romance. And it didn't start from ground
Not
zero.
for those 3 months.
No, FaceTime was only
You're
like
like the
I'd already
last
had the
one.
plane ticket. It was like, whoa! People are like, why are you going for a week? What if you don't worry? And I'm like, because it's actually a really long flight to get there. Why wouldn't I stay longer? I was being more practical, right? So
Plus you wanted
it
to
was
be with him.
amazing.
You wanted to be with him
Exactly,
for a
it was
week.
amazing. It was so amazing. And then we actually eloped, but he still lived in Idaho and I still lived in Boston.
Wow.
So for a year, we were married and lived across the country from each other, and Krister, more than me, came to see me. And then in, I think 2017, we bought this house in Whitestone, and he then eventually moved across the country for me, thank you. And we lived in Boston together for a while, and then during the pandemic, made Virginia home base, so 2020.
I've got a lot of questions here. So where are all of the kids now?
So we have 4 kids between us, and Rowan, who is the oldest, is 24. How old is Rowan?
He's 97.
20.
Oh, he's a bad dad. Do the math.
He's at least 25.
Yeah.
He's 25. Sorry, Rowan. If you ever hear
He's
this.
in Leavenworth, Washington.
Yeah, yep. And he works for the National Forest Service and helps fight forest fires. So
U.S. Forest Service.
the U.S. Forest Service, and helps fight forest fires. So he is truly a hero. And then Ellie is just about to graduate, and she's in Oregon. She goes to Pacific University. And then Fair is a freshman at Syracuse University, and Alexander is the youngest among the 4, and he is still in high school in Boston. So he's a junior.
And
Gotcha.
he's shooting for UVA.
Yeah,
Okay. Out of state's kind of tough.
I know. But he can be maybe in-state, because we're in-state. But we don't need to talk about that.
So my next question is, why Whitestone?
So my grandmother, back to my grandmother, was in Weems, and I spent my summers in this area. And when we decided, okay, you're in Idaho, I'm not going there, and I'm in Boston, and he doesn't like Boston, and I'm so grateful.
Who does like Boston outside of people from there?
So,
Dennis Leary.
So then we decided, okay, we want to go back to Virginia, and he wanted to bring the sailboat across. So we needed to be somewhere where sailing was easy, so we could get out to the Chesapeake Bay. And I said, well, I'd love to come down here because my grandmother and grandfather had been here. So we started looking in the Northern Neck.
She used to come here a lot as a kid to Weems.
Just all the time, every summer, a holiday. Even when we still lived in Kentucky, we'd come to Weems for holidays in summer.
There's something about being near water.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's relaxing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, so we hunted around for a while and kind of kept coming back to this one, and then just finally made it happen.
Yeah, and then Whitestone's our home. We love the village of Whitestone. And then
We closed as we were driving across the country with the U-Haul.
we were just talking about this last night, driving across the country with all
Well, I
of
hope we can get the key.
Krister's things, pulling a car, and a giant U-Haul. And we arrived at like 11 p.m., driving down this long driveway to an empty house that was our first time coming in as owners. It had closed like while we were driving across the country.
You had seen it before, though.
Oh,
You-
yeah.
Yeah.
But it was empty. All those couch cushions out there on that porch. We made a bed right there.
Left everything in the truck, super tired.
I bet.
Just the first night.
Yeah, and then it was to it. You had to,
Yeah.
you had to
Yeah.
get straight fast.
Yeah.
All right, right on. All right, so your financial job out of college, the way
I
you
worked
described
at Davenport and Company.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
What were the good aspects of that job?
What was really interesting, well, first I had another mentor that I looked up to, Lucy Hooper, still works at Davenport and Company and had been a trustee at Randolph-Macon Women's College. And I'd gotten to know her when I was president of student government. And so she worked in the bond trading room. What was really great is that they were helpful to young college graduates, smart young college graduates, to kind of really jump in and learn, and had different trajectories. And so I initially was a liaison in the bond department, but then went into public finance. But if you know public finance and crafting bond deals, it's really just a lot of crunching of numbers and running numbers. And I'm a very creative person, so.
Accounting is not your thing. And that sounds like accounting.
Accounting is definitely not my thing. It's not, doesn't have enough creativity. Certainly you don't want your accountant to be creative. Maybe some people do, but not with numbers. Yeah.
Well, you're going to tell us later about what you're doing today, but it has a lot to do with innovation. And I imagine you've stumbled into the notion of AI and what AI is going to be like over the next
Absolutely.
couple of years to, 10, 20 years out. Those jobs that don't require creativity, I think AI is going to basically take those jobs over. So accounting is a good example.
That's a great example. So I was at TED in Vancouver last week, and most of the theme was around AI. In fact, the gentleman who created OpenAI and ChatGPT was there speaking, but a lot of counterpoints to AI as well. But it's sort of amazing to think about what's possible, and Other people have said people have some trepidation around AI, but they did when the internet was first crafted and around Y2K, and it's just some new type of technology that's going to transform the human experience. So
New is always scary for most people.
Yeah.
The fear that I think some people have is it becomes sentient and they become our overlords.
and they take over,
yeah,
right.
That feels more fantasy to me than anything, but I mean, I guess anything's possible. I'll probably not be alive when that happens, if that happens. The other concern is, you're going to take jobs. Well, guess what? You need to adapt to the new world, because that AI is not stopping.
Right. It's amazing what AI can do already. I do agree with some of the speakers that were there that we need to create a global advisory board, for lack of a better word, to kind of look at, well, what are the things that we need to safeguard against, or put at least safety checks in place so that we know when might be too much at some point.
So are there other concerns beyond being sentient and changing the job market?
Well, some of the things that were discussed was AI in warfare, and it's already, which is huge.
I hadn't even thought about
Yeah,
that.
I know, I hadn't either. And so this one gentleman speaking, I'm sorry, I don't remember his name, but he was describing how Ukraine has been able to fight Russia, which is this massive country with much larger military, because of AI. Because AI has come in and is able to look at, from satellites, images, and they were able to use AI to actually further their advantage.
So it becomes a strategic advantage, almost.
Yeah.
And it sounds like probably tactical advantage in some situations too.
Right.
Yeah, I had not thought about that application.
Yeah.
That gets really scary in a hurry.
So that's why there were a lot of provocative thoughts on one way or the other, or just think about this, right? So lots of people are...
Even to the point of like soldiers? Were they talking about that?
This was more talking about the capability of maybe strategy and what to do, but it could be soldiers. Like, yes, he showed a video of, look at this, and showed drones that could be military AI drones going
Sure.
in and flying in and going into
I think that's
areas.
already happening though.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I mean, you take in reams of intel and it spits out, here's what your next step or next 20 steps should be.
Right. Yeah.
Warfare's bad. We shouldn't be making
No.
it better exponentially like that. Yeah, we definitely need controls around
Right,
that.
exactly. Yeah.
All right, so I just jumped around. Sorry for that. All right, so you learned a few things, but it reinforced that you would rather be creative, it sounds like, and
Yes.
that probably led to your next gig. So describe your next gig after that.
So right after I went to work for the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts, just sort of on the floor in exhibitions, but quickly then was sort of managing certain areas and working in different parts of it. Ultimately, it led me to work at the Cambridge Arts Council in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and then at the Institute of Contemporary Art, where I thought, I love art. I can do administrative work, so it's using both sides of my brain. I want to run a museum. So I was chief of staff at the Institute of Contemporary Art, and I thought, well, now I've landed, because you're always dealing with new artists and new exhibitions, and so it's that fresh inspiration. But then it's when the Harvard professor came knocking, so I'm like, oh, why not? Education. So then I moved into that direction. But it was more of an art, it's called the Art Science Prize, and Art Science Labs globally, the innovation labs, bringing in a multidisciplinary perspective or theme to come up with more innovative ideas. And so it's just, that was so fun for like 9 years doing that, going to different countries and geographic regions and starting these education programs.
So back to going to Boston, did the job take you to Boston, or did you have a desire to find a job in Boston?
Had a desire to find a job in Boston.
What was it about Boston?
My ex-husband wanted to go to Boston. So.
I walked right into that. Okay, so you went to 23 different, I mean, you basically led the
23
charge.
sites around the world, right, which was amazing. So we were working in Singapore, in high schools in Singapore, university students in Paris, high school students in the UK, postgraduates in Saudi Arabia. I've spent time in Saudi Arabia. Learned what innovation and education looks like in vastly different cultural experiences. And so I did a TEDx talk about this actually, around lessons learned, around taking this to different age groups, different cultural aspects. But ultimately, if you put the right structure in place, young people can come up with amazing, innovative ideas. And then the Walt Disney Company paid us millions of dollars to take the curriculum even younger and make it for middle school students, and took it across the Boys and Girls Clubs across the United States.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So if I'm a student, what is my experience at a high level?
So the framework, it was a curricular framework for the Art Science Prize, where we would have a scientific theme each year. And so one of the first years it was neuroinformatics, and there was not a lot known around the brain and information around the brain. And then we would have artistic mentors and do craft exercises around that, while we would have come up with some seed ideas with the Harvard professor and a bunch of brainstorming sessions, where then the students could jump off from a seed idea to try to come up with a new innovation. And it could be a nonprofit or an art project or a new scientific idea to pursue, or a company even.
And so I imagine most students love that curriculum.
Loved it. I got Mayor Menino of Boston on board, and started with the Boston Public Schools. So we started as an after-school program working with all of Boston's high schools. And it was really amazing. And then my first replication site was in Oklahoma City. I was speaking at a conference in North Carolina, and there was a woman there who said, I want that. I was talking about what we were doing in Boston. I want that for our kids in Oklahoma. And I was like, sure, why not?
And that started the journey to 23.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool. All right, so you said Saudi Arabia, you mentioned the UK. I don't know that those two represent ends of a spectrum from your perspective. And when I say ends of spectrum, I mean which locations or geographies were just polar opposites, couldn't have been any more different. I imagine Saudi Arabia might be on one end, and what would be on the other.
So funny, I talk about this in that little TEDx talk, where the high level things I learned is, first, in Singapore, they were trying to move away from rote learning, where it's just memorize facts and everything is very much schedule based, and we've got 16 hours to do this, and that's not how innovation necessarily works, or idea generation. So we were really working with their teachers to kind of craft a new experience in the classroom. The Saudis were very much focused on patents, in fact, and this was in 2013. So I've had recent conversations with people from Saudi Arabia, and like, the country's changed in the last 10 years. Yeah. But you know, in some of the early meetings, they were putting up on the screen, here are the patents that South Korea has. We need to make sure we have more patents. In the UK, they were more interested in being a part of a global creativity kind of program, and learning from other geographic regions. Even if you look at the United States, we have had five or more Art Science Prize sites across the U.S. Geographic regions would produce different types of ideas. In Oklahoma City, they had different types of ideas. In, was it San Diego? No, it was more around LA. They had different types of ideas. The Boston kids had different types of ideas. So it was really interesting.
It sounds like in the U.S. it was about what the kids kind of gravitated to, and in other places
gravitated to, but I would say culturally what's happening in that city and what's important in that city, because they're teachers, and you know what was important is we were teaching other places what to do, but they had to do it and run it. So it was run by local.
So there was adult influence from kids.
Yeah, 100%.
Are those 23 sites still going?
No, not all of them.
That's a bummer, right?
But I left in 2016 to join the Cambridge Innovation Center and to found the Captains of Innovation, which I run now. So when I left, everything started to kind of sunset.
Does that bum you out a little bit?
It does bum me out. I do know that some people are still trying to do things, but I feel really proud with what we did, and we impacted thousands of lives, generating ideas. I don't know if you're familiar with, there's a book, a researcher named Carol Dweck, and it's called The Growth Mindset. And in fact, I met her years and years ago, and I think taking young people through a program like the Art Science Prize completely shifts what their future trajectory is going to be, because it really is putting them in this growth mindset. So I know I can feel proud that we impacted so many.
Yeah, they're striving. You teach them how to strive versus wait for instruction and then memorize 2 times 2 is 4. That kind of thing. That's really cool. It's not cool that the 23 sites, not all of them are still going, but many of them are, it sounds like.
Possibly, I don't know.
You haven't checked in?
No.
Oh, I would have checked in.
I'm like, new thing. I'm doing corporate innovation now and innovation district work. So.
What is Innovation District work?
So certainly after the pandemic. So where the Cambridge Innovation Center was founded in Kendall Square in Massachusetts, it's largely known as one of the leading innovation districts that started to be formed, where there's certain pieces at play that build up in a geographic region that make it a better place for innovation to happen. So for us, MIT's across the street, lots of venture capitalists moved in. There's a lot of startups and entrepreneurial energy that's sort of like this engine for innovation that drives economic growth.
A lot of 50-pound heads is what I call them.
I like the thought. Yeah.
It's meant to be complimentary. They're just very bright people. Well, in Harvard, I imagine Harvard is...
Harvard is down the street.
Yeah.
So, yes. And so these have been repeated. And now, since the pandemic, there are federal governments, certainly in the United States, with the National Science Foundation grants and lots of federal funding to try to regenerate these engines or areas where innovation can thrive, so that when we're hit with the next pandemic, we're more able to react to whatever those circumstances are.
Any fun things come out of the Innovation Center since you've been there?
There's so many ideas and companies and things that are happening. In fact, the Android telephone was invented on the 11th floor at CIC by Rich Miner, was then bought by Google, and lots of things like that. HubSpot was created at CIC. Lots of really amazing things.
And some things that are in the works that you probably can't talk about.
Lots of things in the works.
Yeah.
There's so many. We have thousands of startups. I think since the start of CIC, and now CIC has started to grow. We're in 9 sites around the world. We had like 10,000 startups. So.
And you're traveling to Boston every other week-ish?
I do. Yeah.
Is that brutal for you?
It is a little brutal. It's just sort of become a cadence, though, and it's almost like I have 2 lives. I have my life here, which when we come across the Norris Bridge, my shoulders just seem to go down, and we're on a farm with chickens, and I'm still working remotely for Captains of Innovation, but we've got the shop down the street, and then I'm in Boston, and Alexander is still a junior in high school, and I'm going into the office in Kendall Square, and so it's a lot.
Yeah, you have a high school kid in Boston.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I put that together the
Yeah.
last time we chatted. All right, let's talk about August Table. What's going on over there?
Well, we're really excited to just now. So August Table initially was conceived as an idea to create beautiful things around bringing people together in the kitchen, right? And so this is, again, inspiration from my grandmother, who just down the road would always entertain. She was so elegant, and it seemed so easy that it's something I've always aspired to.
She was a proper Southern woman.
She was a proper Southern woman. And so I decided that creating napkins, block print napkins, would be a beautiful way to bring in beauty and joy to the table to make it easier. And so we started in 2018, started to draw designs, found our partner in India who carves blocks from our designs, and we started the process then. And just this week, we've had a new shipment of pillows and shower curtains, so we're expanding.
That's cool.
Lots of. If you look over there, you can see some of our pillows on the couch.
Those are awesome.
Yeah.
What, shower curtains, the outside, not the part that gets wet.
No, right, just the cloth outer curtain to add beauty. So we're expanding what we're doing, and about a year ago, we opened a little shop here in Whitestone as well. So we curate many things beyond our linens and tablecloths to be all things for the table and kitchen and inspiration and gifts.
How much of the business is online versus at the shop?
Funny enough, the online business was booming up until, and we still ship we do wholesale at retail shops across the United States and ship orders across the United States all the time. But when Apple changed their iOS privacy regulations, it really hit the ability for retail shops or companies doing B2C, direct to consumer, to really make the Facebook and Instagram ads work, because they shut that down. So we're trying to figure out how to regain our holding of where we were online, while the shop itself has filled that vacuum. So it's great.
But it sounds like most of the business is still
it's online, and that's where we're going to have huge growth, and that's where our eyes are.
So if you can make money online, why have the physical place to sell?
First of all, because it's magical for me to walk in.
You enjoy going over there.
I love walking in the shop and selling things that I've picked out, from plates to glasses to cocktail mixes and peanuts. It just makes me happy to go in there and provide a service of a very special, unique shop for people in the local area to
It's
stop
really
in.
sensory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's absolutely about the senses. So, sensory in terms of even the whole shop experience of what we're selling, the feeling that you come in. I want a certain type of music, have a candle lit, to have the lighting perfect when they walk in, to have a fun experience.
Yeah, it lets you see it's working.
It's
You know,
working.
people buy it, they return, they like it.
Yeah.
There's maybe a little more depth of feeling there when
Yeah.
when it's a physical
Just
transaction
pulling
like
a
that.
thing off a shelf and sticking it in a box.
It's not
See you later.
Not a fun emotion or set of
Yeah.
emotions there.
I mean, it's certainly exciting to be selling it and packaging it up, but he's right. And we are able to see which prints, hear from people directly in the shop, which prints they love, what are they excited
Do
about.
they give you negative feedback ever? That would be considered rude, right?
I don't think we have.
I think early days, in 2018 when we first launched, and oh my goodness, I made our packaging so complicated, and Krister did everything that I thought we needed to do. And I think I had one person give me negative feedback, and I was crushed. But I've changed.
Was that the New York Now deal?
No. This was one sole person in the middle of America, and she didn't like the cotton type of cotton. But we've changed our fabric and so forth. So I mean, that was good. It was a lesson
helpful.
learned. I've moved away from that weight of cotton. So yeah,
I mean, it was good feedback.
it was
in
good
the end.
feedback. Yeah.
Right. All right. Why the name August Table? Where did that come from?
So August, 3 reasons for August. First, the month is evocative of all the fruits and vegetables that are in season. And so I think about when people come around a table and having a meal that's filled with all of Earth's bounty. And my birth month is August. And then my brother that passed away, his name was Robert August Earl. That's my father's name as well, but he was Robert August Earl III. So August was his middle name. So it's sort of a nod to him, and he had so much passion and life in him. So August Table, that's the name.
It's a great name.
Yeah.
And super meaningful to you.
Exactly.
All right. Was one of the things that attracted you to Krister his hair?
No doubt. Even when I was 15, I was like, look at that.
I mean, his hair now. I mean, have you turned 54?
He is going to be
Yes, I'm
55 in October.
No,
Just got cut.
I just cut his hair.
So you're a couple months older than I am, so we're the same age. I mean, you have a spectacular head of hair for an almost I'll just call you
It's a
54.
wig.
It's not a wig, but I mean, I look like a typical 54-year-old. My guys are receding pretty quickly, and I'm probably 6 years from now I'll have to just shave my head. I don't think you're ever going to have that problem.
No,
I don't think
he
I'll have
has
that
a head
problem.
of luscious locks.
And can it get too long for you?
Yeah, it was just too long. It was like down to here, and I said it's time. So
I miss that. See, I want to see that.
I was
I
like,
it
let me
longer.
cut this off, right? So
But that's a good length right there for you.
that's a good length, and then as it grows out, and that's still not super short.
Would you ever consider shaving your head?
Oh, I
Krista?
wouldn't want him
Shaving
to.
it
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't want him to shave his
wouldn't
head.
bother me.
But
It
that's
grows
part,
back.
that's part of the attraction to Krister for you.
Yes.
Hair.
What was the song, the Jefferson Airplane song?
Wasn't a great one.
It was
but,
White Rabbit.
Oh, that's
It was
probably their best
awesome.
one.
It was the best song. Yeah.
I'm sorry, not their best. Their most popular.
Best known.
Yeah, fair enough. What's their best then?
Best?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't.
I mean, the listening audience can't see your faces, but you certainly reacted with your
I-
face when I said their best song.
I kind of like that 30 Seconds Over Winterland album, the whole thing.
All right.
I mean, there's a lot of good stuff on there that never made the radio, for sure.
All right. Well, so for kids that are in high school or early college and their boyfriend or girlfriend they believe has stopped communicating, what move should a kid make instead of just assuming a breakup?
You should definitely get in touch with the person and make sure that you are broken up.
Well, now it's easier. They can.
They know right
Track
away,
each other on the phone.
instantly. Yeah.
They're traveling east on this road.
We've got some AI.
So, how much longer are you going to do this thing up to Boston?
Alexander is a junior, and so everyone knows, both at CIC with the kids, and my promise to Krister is one more year. So he's got
Okay.
a senior, and then with the current way that work happens, the pandemic really helps speed that up. That people can work remotely, and I'll just do that from here. So one more year.
Okay, but you could get almost any job.
Well,
Especially with your background.
I would still be working for CIC is the expectation.
Same capacity or slightly different capacity?
It could be slightly different. I feel pretty honored. Tim Rowe, the founder of CIC, actually spun Captains of Innovation off as its own subsidiary for me. So I founded it. I'm building the team. We're growing rapidly now, and I just brought in another partner. I hope to grow and then be able to replace myself, but stay in some capacity.
So you can do whatever you want effectively. That's great.
I think so, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm actually jealous. Are you jealous a little bit? Well, you kind of get to do your own thing every day too.
Krister's an architect and runs his own practice.
I do what I'm told to do.
He does what he's told to
And
do.
after that, you get to
Then
do
he
what you
gets
wanna
to
do.
do whatever he wants to do on the off weeks that
On
I'm
the
not
off
here.
weeks.
It's
Then
working for both of us.
Well, hold on.
Then I mow grass and change oil.
Is your experience vastly different when she's not here? I imagine it's different to some degree.
Not really.
So fair.
You just spend more time on the farm. So we have a 10-acre farm, and so he loves everything. He's an architect to be perfect. So he's mowing, and we have an orchard. I wanted an orchard, so we have 50 fruit trees because that's a future business as well. I love to make jam, and so we'll be making our own jam.
All right, let's talk about making jam.
I love making jam.
How do you make jam?
So you take the fruit, and I love making jam. We already do. We launched our jam line last year, and then you take the fruit.
She's such a business person.
Yeah.
We launched our line last year.
You take.
I'll send you home with some.
You take. Yeah, we actually have some packaged up in there.
We do?
Some cherry jam, remember? And cherry peach.
I love
no,
cherry.
cherry pear and sour cherry.
I love all that.
So you take your fruit and you can macerate it for a while, where you add sugar and the juices come out, and then you add your sweetener and then certain spices, and you boil it.
You're boiling everything, or just the
you
juice?
boil it all together, the
Okay.
whole, because jam, I like the fruit bits in it too, as opposed to a jelly where you're strain it later. So then, depending on how much natural pectin is there, you can get it. Some fruits have more, or you can put lemon and lemon rind in there. You may need to add some natural fruit pectin to help it set. And then
Okay.
you put them in your jars and you jam them.
So let's think about a peach for a second. A peach has skin, like a lot of fruit does.
Yeah,
Is
I
that,
peel it. I peel the skin.
Okay,
and
so
then
the
chop
skin's gone
peach.
before you start the process.
Yeah. And I'm super excited. The orchard we have peaches, plums, sour cherries, sweet cherries, figs, pears. We had
Apples.
10 apples. Oh, lots of apple trees. So we're gonna have all kinds of fruit jams.
How much time? Well,
That's when he's always very busy.
The maintenance, I imagine, at certain times of year is quite involved. The busiest time of year to maintain those trees. What's going on there? Carrie,
Well,
I'm giving you a break here. Hit it, Krister.
We just finished the pruning part of it. Now it's kind of, the bees are out there doing their stuff.
That was nice for you to say because I did none of that. He did all of that. Yeah.
And then, my biggest threat has really been deer. So, probably 30% of my time I go wandering around there, throwing my hair down or dog's hair. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
they don't like hair from a different species.
Moving the radio around, putting up. I don't know what works.
Lights. He put an
Electric fence has been working.
That should work, right?
If they don't jump it
You can.
or crash through it and then it's open. Somebody could walk through it, get shocked, and then it's wide open.
Have you ever been shocked by it?
Oh yeah, I tested it.
Did it knock you down?
It's not that strong, but it definitely gets your attention. We can go touch it if you want.
Yeah, sure.
Oh
I haven't
my
touched.
gosh.
I haven't touched one in a while. Yeah.
Well, he just made it stronger. I don't know if you want to. Have you touched it?
Is he gonna
since
knock
you-
me down?
since
No, it won't knock you down. And yes, I have touched it.
Okay.
Definitely worse.
It's an attention getter
Oh yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Not pleasant.
No.
Yeah. It's definitely not a good time. All right. So, but it sounds like it's busy, but not super busy. Even at the.
Oh, I'd say it's a good hour and a half a day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's watering them, fertilizing them.
Is that spring through
pulling
fall?
weeds away from them. No, wintertime I don't really do anything with them.
But spring, summer, it's pretty busy.
Yeah, right now it's
Especially because they're
pretty
younger.
busy.
They're just
like
a couple
today
years
I'm
in.
fine because it rained all day.
But in theory, they're going to keep growing and producing even more.
And
more.
then we won't have to do as much, hopefully, once
We
they're
gotta
really
prune 'em.
big. Yeah, okay. And
What-
then pick the fruit.
What does pruning involve?
Well, you want to take your stronger branches and concentrate fruit rather, growth or blossoms on those. So you get a lot of these little water seekers shooting straight up in the air, which it's just taking energy from the plant. So you got to get rid of those because they're not going to do anything.
Anything that feeds the fruit,
Yeah.
it's taken away.
If it grows a piece of fruit, it's just going to bend over. So you try to spread them out. Try to horizontally.
You're not
And-
successful
and-
a lot?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I could, but I also, they're kind of a screen over there, and I kind of want them to kind of have to look good too. So, you know, you look at the fruit orchards in like Wenatchee, Washington, and they're not pretty. I mean, they're just horizontal
Flat and
branches
stripped down.
of
We want a
short,
beautiful
stubby
orchard to
little
walk
trees,
through.
but those are production trees. Ours are, I guess they haven't produced anything yet because everything ate them all.
The deer ate
We're pretty good at
last
growing
year's
stuff, but everything else eats the other
produce,
stuff.
which is really upsetting. And then I
Yeah.
didn't realize we have a bunch of chickens and the most beautiful chicken coop you'll ever see that Krister built. But I started to give them blueberries, and I didn't know how much they love blueberries. So since I was giving them blueberries, they went and ate every single blueberry off of our 10 bushes.
And tomatoes.
And tomatoes, they ate them all. And I thought it was the deer until I was walking through the part of the vegetable crop and the blueberry bushes, and I saw them jumping up, and it was the chickens.
So no blueberry jam in the future?
Well, we actually have a friend who has a massive organic blueberry farm, and she donated all of their blueberries last year. So we have a great blueberry crop of blueberry
And behind
spice
the
jam.
office. That's a
And
good
we,
one too.
oh yes, behind the our August table office, we have blueberry bushes as well.
It was just there. We didn't plant it.
Yeah.
It's a tree. It's pretty nice.
But we'll just keep the birds away from it this year. Our blueberry bushes are still growing, and usually the
How you gonna do
longer they
that?
take, I don't know.
Is blueberry jam a thing? I just made that up, I
Okay,
think.
I have a blueberry spice jam recipe that is delicious.
What do you put it on?
Toast,
Okay.
bread.
Sorry.
I actually
That's a
have.
dumb question.
I also used it as layers between a lemon blueberry cake and put some jam there, and then put a
That's
little
what I'm
in
talking about.
the cream, the buttercream icing. I'll show you a picture when I get my phone out, and it gave it this lovely lilac hue with bits of blueberry. It's like divine.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, when's your birthday?
It's in December.
Oh,
We'll do a birthday. And
we'll
you
have
can
to
make
do a
one of those
birthday.
cakes.
I'll make you a cake.
You don't have to.
I
you don't have-
love making cakes, and it's
I
one
mean,
of my specialties.
If you enjoy it that much.
I'm most
She
proud
does.
of my cakes
And
in
they're-
everything in my life. I'm most proud of
and
my
they're
cakes.
good.
I love my cakes.
Why don't you sell cakes then?
Oh my gosh, no.
Don't get
To
don't
involve?
So, well, okay, here's the deal. We are launching an August Table Cafe next to August Table.
I wish I had video for this part.
So that we own the building next to where August Table is, and ultimately the plan is that's going to be a cafe, and I will be selling my cakes there.
I think Krister shared this with me, and he was more. He was a little less excited than you, maybe.
His hope was
kind
that
of be a landlord. Somebody else going to be a baker.
that we would just be sailing around the world in a couple years, and I keep building things, and I'm saying that's coming. We can do that too.
You can have somebody else run it, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's going to be offered in the cafe besides cake?
So
And
it'll be
jam.
breakfast and lunch. So we'll have smoothies and breakfast bowls and breakfast sandwiches and the most delicious sandwiches. And
He's heard all this before, right now.
he's been
Okay.
hearing it for 3 years.
Okay.
It's been in my vision book since 2019.
You don't own that building.
Yes, we do.
Oh, you bought it.
Yeah, in 2020.
I didn't
we've owned
realize.
them both.
That's right.
Both
That's
of them.
right.
Right, we own them both.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff from the prior occupant, right? Or the prior
She's
owner.
still renting it, Pat Lawler.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
But she doesn't stay there. Anyway, yeah. Right. Good time. Do you think she'll listen to this? No. All right. So, what's the earliest you guys sail around the world?
Well, I never said around the world.
I don't want to sail around the world. That's
Like
too scary
sail to the
because
Bahamas or
yeah, we're going to start sailing this summer, further out into the Chesapeake Bay, like more than just beyond our river.
Well, the plan was, and then COVID hit. I was going to take the boat up to Boston, and then you were either going to
Yeah.
bring it back down with me or
Yeah.
take a leg up there. You can go if you want.
yeah.
And
You're
then
gonna find time.
COVID hit, so we didn't do that.
How long would it take to get to a place like Boston?
2 weeks.
From here? Really?
Well, I mean, depends on how much sailing versus
Motoring.
running under the diesel you wanted to do. I mean, you could go up behind New York, and I don't know.
And you're in
I
the
wouldn't
open,
do it with
you're open water for most of that, right?
That would be the easier way to go.
Scarier too, or you're not scared of open water?
I mean, everything has a potential for fear, I would say. I mean, watching your weather facts and stuff. You
don't go out when
looking
there's-
for the perfect storm.
Right.
I mean, that would scare the hell out of me.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly didn't mean to imply that you'd find the most dangerous spot in the ocean and make a beeline to it.
It's like, yeah, okay.
You guys, speaking of bees, do you sell honey?
So we are fortunate that we have a partnership with Honey River Farms, where she has 8 of her hives here, and it's a mutually beneficial relationship. So we actually sell her honey in our shop, which her honey bees are helping our orchard and all of our flowers, and it's good for the earth. So,
could you do what you're doing out there without the bees?
Probably,
for sure. But the honeybees help pollinate and bring more fruit faster. And there's a problem with the bees in the world right now. So the more we can do our part and have somebody else take care of them, it's really hard to manage beehives.
You're one of those people, fairly not common at all, that like, I have an idea, I really like the idea of that coming true, I'm going to do what I need to do to make that happen. Do you have a lot of those ideas in your head right now?
Yes.
this one.
So I like to manifest things, and I've got a whole picture where we've got, August Table is a very big company. It's my corporation. Initially, that I had dreamed of when I was 19. I wasn't dreaming of it, that it would be August Table at that point.
Not the name, but something like that.
No, didn't know what it was. But
that
I
was
think
your
this is
corporation.
what I'm manifesting, is my corporation is coming to fruition. I want a cafe that is experiential. I want a line of jams. Now we're venturing into design work with pillows. I can't...
Your wallpaper.
I'm not supposed to say yet, but we have a partnership with a major wallpaper company, and we'll be launching a line of wallpaper in a few months.
I think wallpaper's coming back, too.
It is very much coming back, so we're so excited. They reached out to us, and so...
They did? Mm-hmm. How did they know to reach out to you?
Somebody on their artistic team found us on Instagram. And so we are co-launching. They're taking our designs, and they're launching it, and we're launching it in a few months. But I'm not supposed to talk about it until then. So
That's really cool.
I know. And that just coincides with our pillows coming out and our shower curtains and other things. So I have so many plans of what
And
we're
your
going to do.
paperware.
And paper products has been another line of business that we want to do that's not related to any of these others, but like paper plates, sustainably done, but really beautiful to make your outdoor picnic or birthday party fun with napkins and plates. I also want to do a line of enamelware plates because those are really fun too. So I've already talked to somebody who could fabricate them with us in Poland, I think they were from. I'm not sure. So
That's you're an entrepreneur, clearly. Where does that come from?
I love to create and build things. I think my father is naturally a salesman, so I think I have natural sales capabilities, but I think it's just the creator in me, honestly, that's driving it, is that I want to create things that I love, that are beautiful, and share them with the world to just bring more joy.
A little German heritage.
Yeah.
Germans are quite industrious.
Yes, I am part German. So.
What are the other parts?
England and German, and so I have some pretty cool lineage. So I have,
This is neat.
I have.
I'm glad we went here. Yeah.
So I have 2 relatives that signed the Declaration of Independence, which was interesting because also my middle name is North. On the other side in England, the Prime Minister was Lord North, and I'm a direct descendant of Lord North in England.
Okay.
And then on my grandmother's side, it's actually my paternal grandfather's side. His great-grandmother was Adelaide Grimm, and so I'm from a descendant from the Brothers Grimm in Germany, who wrote those stories. So a lot of, and then on the north side, it goes back. We have a book all the way back to the time of Queen Elizabeth I. There were Lord Norths, and they would hang out. The Queen would go to their country estates in England and things like that.
So if your family had stayed in England, you'd maybe be royalty.
I would think so. We have a coat of arms. That's all.
Krister, do you have lineage like that?
No.
Yeah.
He has equally interesting lineage, though, because the Allens, there were the Green Mountain Boys. So it's funny, at the same time that my people were helping throw, the Boston tea and the
Taxing it and throwing
it in the harbor, he had the Green Mountain Boys with his name
Ethan Allen.
He's a direct descendant of Ethan Allen, who stole the cannons from the British and dragged them up
For Ticonderoga.
Yeah, you tell
with
the story.
Benedict Arnold.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Our
lineage.
people
Before we
were
know him as
hanging
we
out.
know him.
Right. Before he was a traitor.
So then a funny thing, in Boston, it's the only place they do this. What's that day called?
I'm forgetting.
Evacuation
Day.
So they all get school off. The whole town pretty much shuts down. And Evacuation Day is when Ethan Allen and Benedict Arnold hauled them up onto, what's that hill called?
It's
Charleston?
in Charlestown.
Up where that cemetery is.
Yeah.
And pointed these guns and fake guns. They just made them out of trees and stuff.
Down
At the harbor. All the smoke cleared from the tea and the camping in the morning, and they looked up there and said, "We better get the hell out of here."
The British, but it was
the British left Boston Harbor because of this. So they still get to celebrate that. Nobody knows what it is. Like, let me tell you.
And that's his
It's like,
relative,
I know this.
Ethan
I don't
Allen.
even live here.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have zero fun lineage like that. I think all my lineage is dirt farmers back hundreds of years.
Well, I'm working on becoming that myself.
Yes, you
We're
are.
trying to be farmers.
I think you're doing it.
I mean, we are farmers.
Yeah.
I like
Not very good farmers. We grow things,
Yet.
other things eat those things.
Yet. We're figuring this out.
Circle of life.
Right.
Do you grow vegetables?
Well, I tried last year to just do
Chickens
this
ate them all.
massive tomato crop because I wanted to make a tomato jam. But our little lovely chickens, who became pets for me, which you shouldn't do because 6 of them were eaten, but they were eating all the tomatoes and all the blueberries.
All right, so let's back up. They became pets, but they weren't initially pets. Why did you get chickens to begin with?
They didn't really become pets.
Yes, Maymay was my pet. She would run up. Yes, they
Okay.
were. And she got eaten.
One was domesticated. Sounds
Well,
like
they
at
didn't
least
come in the
one.
house
No.
or anything. No.
Okay.
But they just knew me and would come run. They still know me.
We got them primarily to take care of the bug problem around here.
Ah.
We had the dog would come in with 15, 20 ticks on him every day, and we were getting bitten by them. And so
There you go.
they devoured those, and then you get eggs to boot.
Lots of
I mean,
really
ours are
delicious
all-
eggs. In fact,
all
you're going to
egg
take
chickens.
eggs home
No,
tonight.
he offered.
Okay.
I
We
accept.
don't have to do the meat chicken thing, just eggs.
Just eggs. They're beautiful eggs.
Well, the chickens are beautiful too.
Yeah.
I would keep them alive
Beautiful
for the eggs.
chickens. And,
Yeah, so there are eight new ones out there,
Yeah, so now we have 15. But
but they're just still
they're
little.
really eating the ticks. When we had like the height of our tick problem, when Krister had lots of ticks on him every time we'd go out to the orchard and they'd be walking in the courtyard and everything. Now you don't see those because they're just constantly roaming and eating all the.
Is
the
it
bugs.
just ticks that they eat?
No, they eat anything. Really.
everything
Yeah.
that they can find.
Right. Here they come right now.
And in fact,
Yeah, I've been watching them actually. for a
they
while.
kind of root around in all of the beds around the house, and I think it helps keep weeds out of there because they make a mess of everything, so you got to go kind of clean up after them. But they're pretty much
They're
eat
great for
anything.
everything except tomatoes and blueberries. It sounds like.
Yeah, I was
They
cleaning,
loved our figs too, though. I was going to make our fig
rebuilding
jam,
these shutters here the other day, and they were eating the lead paint off of them.
and I
Like,
said,
that's probably
"No,
not-
no, no, no! We're
probably
going to eat
doesn't-
those eggs. Keep them away from the lead paint."
Then I'm gonna get it.
Oh man, lead paint can't be good.
Yeah.
All right.
Assumedly, it was lead paint. It was.
I'm almost positive it was.
Right.
Yeah. All right. I asked this question. You've listened to a couple. Krister, you've listened to.
Oh,
If
yes.
you get to the end, she doesn't know this is coming though.
Yeah, I forgot this was coming too.
Yeah. No,
This
you'll be
is you.
fine. It's meant to be a little more revealing, but not in a way that I'll have to edit.
Okay.
You're a talk show host one time only. Be daytime, nighttime, late night, whatever you want it to be. You get to pick your guests. Your guests can be alive or dead. Your guests can be famous, not famous, family, friends, somebody you read about 50 years ago and you're like, wow, I'd really love to talk to that person. Your show can be thought-provoking, it can be fun, it can be entertaining, it can be a mix of whatever you want it to be. You get to have one male guest, one female guest, a musical act, and if you're into comedy, a comedian.
And I have to pick all of those?
All 4 of those.
All 4
this
of
is your
those.
one-time show.
Okay. So
Krister knew this was coming and he forgot.
I didn't know this was coming. So just off the cuff, just,
Yeah,
don't,
it's meant to
don't
be-
judge.
It's meant to be off the cuff
Okay.
and no judgment.
Okay, no judgment. So the female would be Martha Stewart because I've loved her and all the things that she has done. She's
Except
an
the-
amazing force.
Except the insider trading.
Right. But, then when she went to prison, she taught the prisoners how to knit, and they came out all wearing shawls. It's like making lemonade out of lemons, really. So Martha Stewart, the founder of the Container Store, because I've read his book, To Be
Okay.
Contained, and I'm forgetting his name right now. but he has built an amazing company. So it would be really interesting to see from this creative lens of what Martha Stewart has done with him. A musical act. This may sound strange, but David Bowie.
Why is that strange?
I don't know, because he doesn't really fit into the piece of with the others. But
Well, he doesn't have to fit in.
Okay,
No.
all right. I'm trying to make a theme.
It doesn't have to flow.
I tried.
It doesn't have to flow.
Okay. And then what was the other one? A comedian?
Yeah.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She is so funny.
You know she's French.
No.
Yeah, French descendant. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she comes from quite a bit of moolah too, but you wouldn't
And
know
Tina
it.
Fey. Oh, I love her too.
You got to pick one.
Okay, Tina Fey. Sorry, Julia. Okay.
Tina's from Northern
She went to
Virginia.
UVA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe our most famous grad. Certainly up there.
Anyways, she's hysterical. 30 Rock.
She's unbelievably funny. Yeah.
Kennedy,
Oh, yeah, we did that with Kennedy.
John Dickerson.
How was he famous?
How about Thomas Jefferson?
Oh, yeah.
But he didn't graduate from there.
Hey, he's the one who married. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Right. Anyone else on my talk show? Or did I get them all?
You got them all, but we got. I'll have to look up the Container Store guy to get his name.
I don't have my phone.
We don't need it.
Yeah,
we don't
okay.
need to check.
All right.
You're
Okay.
fine. That would be a fun show.
Yeah.
It wouldn't flow. It wouldn't be thematic, but it doesn't have to be.
Which David Bowie? Which part?
Yeah, Ziggy Stardust or after that.
Actually, the song that was released after he died.
Oh, so
Oh, postmortem David Bowie.
Yeah, like what made him think to write that song, bring him back to life, to talk about how did he feel knowing that he was going to die, to create this amazing. If you watch the video, tears, knowing he created this work of art to share with people once he was gone.
that it was intentional on his part.
It was intentional and it was intense and it's beautiful.
What's the name of the song?
I have no idea.
I don't think I realized he did that. Mm-hmm. Okay, but you like Ziggy Stardust too.
Yes,
Yeah, you liked him all the way through.
all the way through.
Yeah. Very cool. All right, so other plans that we haven't touched on. I feel like you've got a lot going on, and maybe we've only touched half of it.
Only touched half of it.
All right, and some of it's probably we can't talk about.
Can't talk about it yet. Right.
All right,
Yeah.
right on.
Yeah.
The wallpaper thing's unbelievably exciting.
I'm so excited.
Instagram. Who knew?
I know. Instagram. I love Instagram. Oh, see, so I love taking photos and doing food photography. That's one of my passions right now. While I'm not painting, I'm a painter as well. And so while I'm not painting, I find creativity in staging our linens with a cake I've made or a piece of food and making it pretty. So
Let's talk about art for a second. So you paint other forms of art beyond what we've talked about?
mostly I'm a painter, but, I can draw. I think designing the linens falls into that
Yep.
sort of lens. And, of course, Krister gets to participate in that as he's got great design aesthetic and he's an architect. So picking
So,
color choices.
Pretty
and so forth.
powerful duo.
Yeah, I'd say.
She'll make these cakes and cupcakes and whatnot. There's no reason for them other than to photograph.
Yes.
Wait,
love-
but do you eat them?
Well, we do.
Look at us.
I don't have that in my life.
I love baking
Is there a chance you
sweets.
can make quarter batches?
Yeah. And I'm like, no, the cake. Just go to the August Table Instagram page and you'll see when there are beautiful cakes in our linens. I've made most of those things.
How does it
I've
work
eaten
on
most of those.
How does it work on
things.
Instagram? I'm not a big social media person. How does it work on Instagram? Is it at August Table? Is that how
It's
people find
August_table.
you? Okay, and
At August_table.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like you have a lot of posts.
I'm constantly posting. That's to be an e-commerce brand, you need to constantly get in front of potential consumers. And so I have not shifted to video and TikTok. That's where it's moved. I'm kind of trying to maybe do a little bit of video, but I'm staying true to the photography.
Still, pictures are probably easier to.
Easier
Less
to
time
craft.
consuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like if you think about in centuries past, the painters would create this sort of still life and then they would paint it. And so when I take a picture of food and our linens and other things, it's like a still life for me. So it really is. And then using photography to portray it. So
I have a feeling you can teach me a couple things about how to expand the reach of my podcast.
I think so.
All right.
Yeah, what's your class you're doing right now?
Oh, that's really about Facebook ads.
Oh,
Yeah.
I could do Facebook ads too.
Yeah. Yeah. You should.
I'm not
actually.
sure I'm ready for that though.
Yeah.
I've literally not spent a dime on this podcast except for what you see in front of you.
Well, it's a good start.
Been doing it 3 years. I'm really
Yeah.
not trying to make money, even though I probably should.
Yeah. Why
Look at
not?
sponsors.
Get paid for your passion. Everyone
Yeah.
should be pursuing their passions. That's what
And getting
makes
paid for it.
life worthwhile. When you pursue your passions, you can find money to get paid for it.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, I only have 3 edits out of this. I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that good?
Maybe only 2.
Yeah.
It's about average actually. I was editing this morning and I had to edit 3 things this
Wait,
morning.
and all 3 are my fault. Sweet.
Yeah, you were definitely involved.
Yeah.
In each of the 3. Well, Carrie, thank you so much for doing this. You invited me into your home. I appreciate that as well. And you have a gorgeous place here. And I wish you guys nothing but the best.
All right. Thank you so much. We can't wait to hear it.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to wherever you listen to podcasts. We'd also really appreciate if you'd rate and review us. You can find us at scodupodcast.com.